On today's show, we're going to get into the FBS, FCS pipeline and explore so many different players that are making the leap from FCS comp to the big stage and the big boys. Only so many spots, and transfer portal season has been moving right along. We got star players making new impacts in new homes. I'm excited to talk about it. We're going to talk about the luxury tax or the success tax that Georgia Tech had to pay to Florida because they came and stole all of our talent. We're going to talk about that. Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. It's this week. We got a lot of things to get to. I'm going to talk about some Senior Bowl mind benders today. Stats that make you say, pew. You were looking for your latest plug and everything you needed to know in the college football world? Look no further, my friend. I'm back. I'm better. And let's get it. This is the world of CFB. Shake my hand. Shake my hand. It's nice to see you. Ow. You hitting harder than the cold outside right now. It's been a long time. I am your host, Moon, national credential media member of the CFB Nation. It's been a long time since I saw your pretty face. Today's show is going to be jam-packed, fast-moving, and like you know, we cover everybody under the sun. If you lace them up, get the job done, put that chin strap, buckle it up tight, chances are Moon's covering you at night. So today, let's start it off with a fast-paced recap of everything that we missed in championship season. And I like to call this the Championship Rewind, brought to you by the good folks at CFB Nation, my friend. Let's start first with the movie. Montana State versus Illinois State was a game for the ages, and the FCS National Championship game gave me goosebumps into the final whistle. Nashville, Tennessee was packed out to full capacity. It was the kind of night that makes the stadium just tremble, and you forget that breathing even exists. Montana State waited 41 years for another national title, and they claimed it the hard way, out of the mud, getting it when anybody and everybody was hating on them. Even that other Montana team. The kind of way, though, that leaves fingerprints on trophies. 35-34 overtime over Illinois State, and the game started off like a statement, but it ended like a survival documentary because Montana State, they came out with that steady posture. They came out, Justin Lamson said, you know what? We're going to play the first half with the tempo that you have not got used to, Illinois State. No panic. Just calm, cool, collected. 2 rushing touchdowns by Lamson, efficient throws, no wasted motions, 21-7 at halftime, and it felt earned, not borrowed. Then the game said, oh, let's introduce our favorite sport in the world, and let's introduce some controversy, because Illinois State ran the second half like they had a remote control and flip it through their favorite channels. You get a highlight, you get a highlight, you get a highlight. Long drives, possession football. Montana State barely saw the ball. The lead started to get thinner and thinner, and then it got tight. Then it got loud, so loud, in fact, that it was scary how everything started to just unfold. The thing that you need to know, time of possession, the pressure index. Montana State held the ball for nearly 20 minutes, my friend. That's usually how teams lose titles, but instead, they won it anyway. That's efficiency turning into an armor that's protecting us in the biggest moments of the season. Illinois State had a chance to end it in regulation. They were 1 kick away. And then the snap, the hold, the moment, block field goal. College football loves us so much. It ripped the ending right off of the script that we wrote and said, oh, this is done, cooked. And it dragged this whole thing into overtime. The Redbirds scored first in overtime. Then Montana State answered, and then they immediately stumbled. False start, incompletion. Those are the type of cracks that end seasons. And then came the moment. 4th and 10 from the 14-yard line. Justin Lampson takes a snap, fires left, pure trust, pure timing, and Taco on a Taco Tuesday, by the way. Taco Dowler meets it in the end zone like Destiny had an appointment with him. Touchdown, tie game. Dowler, by the time we got to the end of the night, Taco Dowler's stat line made me say to myself, like, you were meant to live in program lore forever. 8 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. But that fourth down catch is one for the ages. Extra point goes through. 35-34 final. CFB Nation key metric. When the entire season compresses into one single play, great teams convert. Montana State converted. And when the kick sailed through the uprights to end it all, there was no instant explosion. Just release of all of the seasons of frustrations, the highs and the lows that comes through it. And the blue and the gold collapsing into history, no longer chasing 1984, standing inside of 2026, year of our Lord. Oh, man, this one was one for the ages, bro. Coming up next. What up, King Spider? Probably a game that more people need to know about, and I'm happy to have covered it. The D3 College Football National Championship. Whew. Let's start off by saying that the Falcons ended up winning 24-14 in a matchup that was actually cold-blooded, and they ended North Central's reign. This game took place in Canton, Ohio, and let me tell you why Division III remains the purest version of this great sport that we love so much. Wisconsin River Falls walked into the Stag Bowl, the D3 National Championship, with the kind of backstory that sounds fake if you say it too fast. They are a program that has lived as a WIAC punchline for 2 decades plus. From 2001 to 2021, not one single winning season. That's a lifetime in college football. And now they're immortal, standing in the history books forever. They beat the defending, reigning national champs, North Central, 24-14, and the score doesn't even capture the emotional theft that actually took place in this game. We call that highway robbery. But North Central hit first like most dynasties usually do. They ended up taking a 14-3 lead. They looked comfortable. They looked inevitable. And it looked like the usual ending was going to take place. But guess what? Wisconsin River Falls never flinched. They never folded. They scored late before halftime to keep a heartbeat pulsing. And then the second half turned them into a cold-blooded team. From that point forward, North Central never scored again. CFB Nation key metric. Second half silence. What happens when a great offense gets blanked after halftime? That's not luck, my friend. That's defense rewriting reality and saying, you will not score. Caleb Blaha, he played quarterback like he grew up hearing, you can't do this, Caleb. You can't do that. Instead, I'm going to register 419 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and he drove that offense every single snap like he carried all those losing seasons for decades of Wisconsin River Falls football on his back. And the season-wide context is even crazier when you look at the fine print. Blaha, he finished with 6,189 total yards of offense. That broke the single-season record once held by Joe Burrow. Division III, breaking the Joe Burrow's record. That's how you know greatness doesn't require a Power 4 logo. It just requires doom, 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 doom. A little post and writing it all out in a plan. Wisconsin River Falls didn't win because they just peaked one time in this game. They won because their belief held strong, snap after snap, even when the scoreboard argued with it. This was also coaching patience turned into prophecy because those coaches said over and over again, we are not the former versions of this team. Matt Walker has endured years where leaving would have been understandable. Hey, coach, you coming back next season? Nah, we've been getting our tail whooped. It's okay. It's okay. We understand it. But guess what? He stayed. He promoted a 26-year-old wide receiver coach to offensive coordinator, said, we're going to get some new blood in here. He leaned into tempo, trust, and fearlessness. And in year 15, all that confetti started to fall, and River Falls, Wisconsin, that is, won a title. That is what happens when you trust your eyes, you trust the vision, and you believe that college football is the greatest sport known to mankind. Let's go to the next one. Under Armour All-American game next, by the way. This one was a rain-soaked defensive brawl from the very jump of it. The Under Armour All-American game featured Team Roses versus Team Pearls in DeLand, Florida. And this game had one theme throughout the entire night: pressure. We had rain on the field, rush in the backfield, and every rep felt like a job interview with 10,000 scouts plus watching, more watching at home. Team Roses wins 23-9. But here's what you need to know. This wasn't a short quarterback showcase. This was a trenches and termination type of night. Pearls, they struck first. Jace Johnson hits Tyron Horns on a slant that turns into a 24-yard touchdown, and we're all celebrating, and we thinking that's about to be fireworks galore. And we said track meet is incoming, but then the game started to tighten like high school football usually does. Playing with a lot of extraordinary talent on the field, it has to. Team Roses, their defensive front turned the night into a patience test. Pockets collapsing all over the place, timing shattered, pass set stretched, and even good reps felt temporary. In all-star games, you know, that pressure usually comes from that chemistry. And when you could take that pressure and you can have constant, organized, unavoidable, being in the moment where you maximize on the biggest stage, that's what ended up happening. It's halftime. Scores 9-9. But the game felt ultimately heavier than that because Peyton Houston, an LSU commit, he gave Team Roses that pulse, that do that they desperately needed. Early on, he's dealing with the rain and the lack of the rhythm. Then he settles into the one thing that he knows: playmaking. 3rd and goal from the 23-yard line, the kind of down that just screams, throw it away, kid, throw it away, take the 3 points. Peyton Houston scrambled, threw across his body, rolling left, and then hit Zion White for a touchdown that shifted the pressure, shifted the temperature. And later, Houston also scrambled for another touchdown, and that became the separator, as he conducted as a true operator of this offense. But the game-defining moment is from the player that you see on the screen. Easton Royal, 5-star Texas commit, who's going to be torching college football very soon. He had a one-handed touchdown catch in the rain. That was not a circus catch. It was controlled robbery. He added a 2-point conversion on an end around earlier in the game. So the MVP ultimately felt automatic. That's the reason why he took home those honors. Absolute joy to watch. Stars, they have rankings. Pros usually have proof. Royal, he left with the hardware, but he ultimately left with proof. Defensively, the picks carried intent too. John Meredith III tracks one like a receiver. Joey O'Brien grabs one and turns the return into absolute just glory. And those edge dudes, Sincere Johnson, Drake Cruel, Tariq Booney, they ended up making the game uncontrollable all night long in the Under Armour Next All-American game. Also, we got some halftime commitments from this game that hit different. Tyron Horns ended up committing to UCF in the Space Knights. That was an amazing sight to see. His family supported him amazing. And Jaden Bryant, shout out to him. He committed to LSU. That's the Under Armour Next weekend and the big boy game. They had a lot of jam-packed festivities throughout the entire weekend. And shout out to the Under Armour Next All-American game. It's a pleasure to cover you on CFB Nation. Coming up next, the big dog, the granddaddy, man enchilada. What up, my dog? Hey, if you don't know the governor, make sure you check out the show, bro. Man enchilada, big daddy of them all. I kid, I joke. Indiana versus Miami. College football playoff national championship. The Hoosiers ended up winning 27-21. They finished the season 16-0, first title in program history. Miami Gardens, Florida was the scene, and Hard Rock Stadium was supposed to be Miami's finish line for this game. They built the whole entire year around this one place, ending the season as college football playoff national champions, hosting it in our own home stadium, even though it don't belong to us. Conditioning, it just came down to the end of the season. You could see that players are gassed a little bit because of the wear and tear of a 16-game plus season. Miami reached the last step, but Indiana was the one that stood at the top of the mountain of college football, winning 27-21. They take home their first national title in program history. Miami fought. They really did. They had 3 separate rallies in this game, but every single time that they crawled back into the light, Indiana slammed the door in front of their face and said, "We're not answering." And that was cold-blooded. The first half belonged to Indiana. 2 long drives. Miami held 69 yards before halftime. It was 10-0 at the break. And it felt like Indiana had the steering wheel, just driving Miss Daisy. And then the third quarter lights the fuse. And then Ruben Baines sacks Fernando Mendoza to open the half out. And we saying, whoa, Miami might be back. And then 2 plays later, Mark Fletcher hits his head on the goalpost for a 57-yard touchdown run. Hard Rock, it started to wake up again, 10-7. And then the swing of the game actually arrived like a sucker punch. Just come over here, Miami. Let me rough you up a little bit. Indiana, they ended up blocking a punt deep on Miami territory, recovery in the end zone. Instant touchdown, Mikael Kamara, 17-7, Indiana. And then the CFB Nation key metric, the hitting yards avalanche. Special teams, that is a category that people don't really want to talk about that often, but this is where the game shifted in momentum. Miami ended up answering again. Mark Fletcher scores again. Now it's 17-14 entering the fourth quarter, and it felt like an entirely different game happened in the fourth. Indiana, they started to lean into their identity and their nerve, that grit, that bravado. They convert a huge 4th down to keep it alive. Then they convert another conversion and another conversion. Then Mendoza keeps it on a key moment and scores on a 12-yard run that can just live in a movie. 24-14. Miami ends up responding with a 91-yard drive, 2 minutes, 34 seconds. I mean, this is Miami at the surgical peak that we see. Malachi Tony is an absolute dog. If you agree with me, say I in the chat. 24-21. They even got to stop. Miami did. But Indiana just ended up managing the clock. They ended up making sure that they got key points late by the special teams with the field goal. And Miami gets one last possession. And what do you feel like this storybook is going to end like for the Miami Hurricanes season? Well, Carson Beck intercepted near the goal line. Game, checkmate, Indiana. CFB Nation key metric. Finishing drives. Miami outgained Indiana, but titles live in the red zones, 4th downs, 3rd downs, conversions, special teams violence. And Indiana won all the hidden battles. Miami ends 13-3 and returns to national relevance. Indiana leaves with the trophy, and Hard Rock becomes a reminder that, yeah, home field advantage might give you comfort, but it does not give you permission. This, my friends, is the world of college football. Long time since I got a chance to see you, kick with you. I'm your boy Moon, nationally credentialed media member of the CFB Nation, where I get a chance to tour the college football world, giving my insights to you, the people, from my vantage point, from my lens. And if you strap them up throughout all divisions of college football, chances are your boy Moon is going to talk about you, and in depth too. We already talked about our championship game rewind of some of the biggest moments that happened over the month of January and late December. We got so much more to go on this show, but it's only going to get started after I tell you this. CFB Nation is taking over, my friend. If you're not paying attention to the Twitter, make sure you check us out on Twitter. Follow the socials. Stay connected. It's no off season where we reside. College football lives every single day, 365. We want you to be a part of that wave. So come join it. DCFBNation.com for all your latest. Got DCFB Nation on Twitter, X, wherever you call it. And we'll love to see and interact with you. Shout out to the game. Let's continue this masterclass of what we call college football in its prime. This is the world of CFB. We got to talk about the Pac-12. We do, because the Pac-12 has meetings coming up this week, and it is a very important time for us to pay attention to. Not just because we see them returning in 2026, but there's so much more. The Pac-12 isn't asking how to survive anymore. It's asking what kind of conference do we want to become in 2026 and beyond? Because the most important thing about this week's Pac-12 governing board meetings, it has nothing to do with the dates, the stadiums, the flex weeks, the scheduling, even though it kind of does, but it has everything to do with the posture of the Pac-12. They were respectful, waiting for the College Football Playoff Committee to decide whether or not we're going to go and expand past 12 teams. They said, we'll wait until you guys finish y'all madness and controversy, and we'll make our decisions then. And it left them asking one question as we head into this week. Does the Pac-12 want to be a stable conference, or does it want to be a sharp conference? These two pathways look very similar in January, where we are and where we sit right now on the week of the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. But it could look widely different by the time we get to November. Here's the core truth. 8 teams makes this whole thing legal. Yes, for sure. But that only checks one of the boxes for real. 8 football members meets the NCAA minimum. The CFP playoff auto bid remains accessible through the group of 6 lane because we are no longer a G5 nation. We are a G6 nation, like a G6, like a G6. The league finally exists again. The Pac-12 is back from the dead, like the Undertaker, back from the dead, like Chief Keef. But existence and leverage rarely share the same room. And when we have 8 teams, it's going to force some structural compromises, my friends. We're going to have some repeated matchups. We're going to have scheduling padding, flex week gymnastics, reduce inventory for television partners that are trying to partner with them, like the CW, for example, limited margin for injury, down years, or we can just have brand dips. That matters because modern conferences no longer are selling membership. They sell volume, certainty, optionality. Look at ESPN and what they go into their boardrooms when they got a fully loaded, vaunted SEC 9-game schedule that's coming out. And they say, oh boy, let me get my Angry Orchard, pop the top, and let's go through these bad boys. We're getting Texas and Oklahoma. We're getting Florida and Tennessee. We're getting Georgia and Auburn. This is what they could do. Why can they do that? Because they have optionality. CFB Nation key metric. Elasticity measures how much stress a conference absorbs before its schedule, credibility, or media value actually bends. This 8-team league stretches faster than they actually strengthen. This board meeting that's coming up this week is sitting at that intersection of truth. Every agenda item from the schedule format, the championship site, CFP realignment, quietly circles the same unresolved tension that we have. The schedule question is really an identity question when we look at it, though, because an 8-game conference slate with a flex week sounds pretty clever. It buys you some time. It fills some gaps for you. It creates theoretical upside for marquee matchups when we know. I mean, think about it. The Pac-12 is going to have all the states in the conference. Washington State, Boise State. Like, the flex weeks, they're going to belong to conferences that are still searching for their center of gravity. Stable conferences, they have them. They usually, I talked to the ACC commission, ACC league office last year at ACC kickoff, and they said after week 4, we got full open range to say, hey, if you competing good, Clemson, if you competing good, Duke, we're going to put you in that primetime game. But they know who they are and who they play. A round robin format reinforces purity, but that really just limits growth and upside. A home and home workaround adds repetition. Both options, they really whisper the same thing to television partners. We're organized, but hey, we're the Pac 12. It's only our first day out here. We're still small. And that's where the repetition tax comes in. The repetition tax measures how often fans, networks see the same matchup without rivalry stakes. And you have high repetition, that's going to dull the urgency. If you get the same dinner over and over and over and over every night for the same night, and you get hamburger helper for a week straight, tell me that you're not going to be tired by the time we get to the next Monday and say, dang, mama, we eating hamburger helper again? It don't matter if it's Boise State versus Kentucky State. If we get that same matchup over and over again, it's going to dull that urgency, and urgency fuels ratings. The Pac-12, they survive by being resourceful. They're back from the dead. But the Pac-12 is only going to thrive because they want to be deliberate. That's why I said, do you want to be sharp or the other option? Then you talk about the championship games, because this is where the real debate is going to go on throughout this entire week. You have Allegiant Stadium that offers visibility, Vegas polish, the logistical predictability, but it also risks empty seats if you don't have the right teams that make it, diluted atmosphere, quiet admission that regional passion still matters more than destination branding. Then you have the option for on-campus championships that flips this entire equation on its head. It trades the corporate sheen for authenticity. It tells fans that the league, they value environment over optics and how it looks. When you got to choose a venue, you're going to have to ultimately look at the soul of your conference and say, do we want a neutral site championship game that gives us visibility first, or do we want campus site where that gives us identity first? For a conference rebuilding trust, rebuilding back from the dead, identity compounds faster than visibility, in my opinion. Now, this is where the 12-team playoff comes in, because it's staying intact at 12 teams for 2026. So this clearly clarifies the battlefield that we're stepping into as a Pac-12. One group of 6 automatic bid, possibly. No safety net, no margin for conference cannibalization like we have in the ACC or Big 12. But there's also no room for a good loss narrative. If you lose one game, you are out, in my opinion. This measures how important that these meetings are, and how important that this conversation needs to be had for expansion. So, does the Pac-12 need one more member? Strictly speaking, no. Strategically speaking, yeah. Add a 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th if you can. Because those numbers, they unlock a leverage that 8 is never going to give you. You add a 9th team, for example, you get cleaner scheduling, reduced repetition, better late season differentiation. We got stronger inventory for our media partners that want to partner with us, the people, the Pac-12. The less that we teams that we have, the less our actual body of work could be, in my opinion. And the Pac-12, while they're operating on a razor's edge right now, they have to be smart. They have to be diabolical. Now, you have all these things that I bring to the table, bring to the conversation. These are things that the conference is going to be meeting to talk about this week. This is why this is super important for us. Now, this is the real risk, though, and the uncomfortable truth. If the Pac-12 stays at 8, prioritizes visibility or stability, and they do that and say we want stability over sharpness, it risks becoming the cleanest stepping stone league in the sport. Well-run, visible, profitable enough, never final. And when we talk about a sport that's all about retention, the irony is brutal. Survival without ambition creates the very instability the rebuild aimed to avoid. This is why the Pac 12 already completed the miracle. If you ask me, they already did the unthinkable. From the Pac 2, where it was just Washington State and Oregon State, to the Pac 8, Pac 12 now. From obituary to operating plan, from pressure to an actual calendar that's becoming more clear as the day goes on. But they need to land on the next phase and the last phase, which is definition, being clear, being sharp. They have to have a well-run regional league, or would you like to have a sharp, nationally disruptive one that could create controversy? Both paths remain, and there's probably other paths that I'm not even thinking about that are out there that they're thinking about. But in this modern world of college football, fear creates leverage. And only one of those paths that I named actually will shake and scare some people. What's good, Ejo? This is the world of CFB. Teresa, you're going to have to get it popping this week. You're going to have to get it popping. How's everybody been? Long time since I've seen you. This is the world of college football, my show. I'm nationally credentialed media. Moon has traveled my fair share in this college football world. And one thing that I know and I love is that the Senior Bowl is always the restart. We get to the month of late January, early February. We know that the world of college football restarts, reloads, and the draft, it starts and ends in Mobile. This experience has been near and dear to my heart. I am absolutely soul crushed that I'm not going to be able to make it to Mobile, Alabama this week. However, I am deeply changed by this game this week forever since my first Senior Bowl experience in 2023. When we got a chance to go out there to see the people, the personnel, the media, the people that's out there for the talent on the rosters, some of them who didn't play, go ahead and grill me. Go ahead and grill them. However, the week was sensational. One of my favorite moments that doesn't get talked about enough is the parade. I love the parade. It was a fantastic experience. And I say all of that to say that this week does a lot for this draft stock of players all around the nation that get invited, the best of the best, the cream of the crop, right? But it also does so much in impact for the city of Mobile, for the people that are involved in it. And I am deeply happy to say, with some extra bass in my voice, that we are officially in the week of Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Let's talk about it. I've been excited to get to this. I'm going to come back to you later, Pac-12. I want to get into mind benders, CFB Nation style. We are going to talk about the national team today on World of College Football. Hey, y'all got to bear with me. I'm still getting the dust off this Cadillac. You know what I'm saying? It's only my first day back out here. Bear with me. We're going to talk about it, though. We're going to go through all these players on the national team, and I'm going to give you one mind-bending stat on each one of them. Do my best to. This is something that took me quite a while to do. But if you're ready, let's get to it. By the time we get to the end of this, you're going to know a little bit more than you went into it knowing. That's my goal. Let's talk about Sawyer Robinson up first. Sawyer Robinson, he threw for 19 touchdowns in the red zone on just 35 completions. That means 54% of his red zone completions were touchdowns. 0 interceptions inside the 20-yard line. A red zone passer rating of 170.86, the highest rating in any situation when I looked at. He did all of that while completing 53% of his passes in the red zone, which means that anytime you get into that green area, it's a coin flip on whether or not Sawyer Robinson is going to be a cold-blooded executioner when the field shrinks. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in Mobile. He is an absolute dog. Let's talk about his running mate, Josh Cameron. Josh Cameron scored 5 touchdowns in the red zone on just 52 total yards in that total area. Let that sink in for a little bit. He averaged 5.2 yards per catch inside the 20. Nearly half of his red zone catches were touchdowns. 5 touchdowns on 10 catches. When you look at it and you see that he never recorded a red zone reception longer than 15 yards in 2025, that means that he functioned purely as a short yards touchdown machine. That Sawyer Robinson said, I'm getting the ball to my dog, Josh Cameron, and he's going to go nasty. He's going to go crazy. This is extremely rare for a wide receiver to have 5+ red zone touchdowns, under 60 red zone yards. And you talk about explosion, but he can be somebody that belongs to tight ends, jumbo packages, move around, and not just be labeled as just a wide receiver. Look at his tape, and you can see exactly what you need to see with Josh Cameron. Coming up next, Boise State. Across the 23 and 25 seasons of college football, Cage Casey played 2,830 offensive snaps at left tackle. And during his All-America 2024 season, he allowed 0 sacks on 440 pass protection snaps. This is where it really starts to get spicy. In 2024, he didn't allow a single sack, while Boise State finished top 10 nationally in rushing offense, total offense, scoring offense, third down conversions, and first downs. That combination is almost unheard of. Most elite rushing teams do not also have an elite pass pro metrics. And you start looking at what 2024 Boise did. This man was an anchor, and he anchored it consistently. He's one of the reasons why the Senior Bowl draft scouts are salivating and drooling all over this kid. Cage Casey, Boise State. Let's come up. Hezekiah Masses, defensive back. 6'1", 185 from Deerfield Beach, Florida. He was Walter Camp second team All-America. We had Sports Info Solutions All-America, first team All-ACC. And he led the nation in the ACC with 18 passes defended. That means that he had 1.38 passes defended per game. When I'm looking at his passes defended, he can put his head into a ceiling fan and be unscared. 47 tackles. He is a thumper too. In his junior season, still put up 38 tackles too. Sophomore season, 42 tackles. Did I mention that this kid can hit? I'm looking forward to seeing when they go 11 on 11 this week. Coming up next, Delby Lemieux. Across the 2024 and 2025 seasons combined, Delby Lemieux has played over 1,200 total snaps and surrendered exactly 0 sacks. Think about that. 2 full years of competitive football, including Ivy League and out-of-conference matchups, and no defender ever reached a quarterback through him. His senior grades, 71.2 PFF run block grade, 85.6 PFF run block grade. Pass block grade was 71.2, run block grade 85.6. He can be dangerous in pass pro and putting you on your back. That is Delby Lemieux. Coming up next, Chandler Rivers. In 2024, that was the highlight season for Chandler Rivers. He had everybody talking about him. He was targeted 40 plus times and he only allowed 13 completions. Only 3 completions over 20 yards for the entire season. In the era of explosive passing offenses, Chandler Rivers effectively deleted the big play from his side of the field in 2024, year of our Lord. He was PFF's second highest graded cornerback nationally at a grade of 90.7. Let's talk about Vincent Anthony. Across his Duke career, he's played 1,887 snaps. He tied 6th in school history in sacks with 15. Think about that. Think about what I just said. He tied 6th in school history in sacks and only played 1,800 plus snaps. He never redshirted. He missed games in 2023. He sat out of the 2025 bowl game, and he played in a defense that constantly rotated their defensive alignment. He climbed Duke's all-time sack leaderboard without having a full volume season. That is absolutely insane, bro. Insane. Duke got some ballers, shot callers out here outside today. Tyreek Sapp. A lot of people might be surprised to see Tyreek Sapp out there, but I'm not. The same reason I'm not surprised to see the guy that's right here. Keyshawn Owens, FIU. We're gonna stay in Florida for these next two. He had 5 runs of 40 plus yards, and all 5 came in games with fewer than 25 carries. He had a breakaway run every 5.2 carries, every 52 carries. He set FIU's single season rushing record in doing it while he had to play Penn State, Liberty, Jacksonville State, and WKU. My dog is an animal. Animal. Tyreek Sapp. I want to mention him. He only had 9 starts. And the crazy thing about it is in 2024, he had a 90.4 PFF grade, the highest by any Florida defender in 5 years. Tyreek Sapp is a dog. Can't wait to see him in Mobile. My dog, Keelan Rutledge. In 2024, Keelan Rutledge only had 2 blown pass blocks, nearly 400 plus pass snaps. That is 1 blown block every 200 reps. When you talk about Rutledge, he played 904 total snaps, most on the team that year, survived an 8 overtime game at Georgia, and anchored a line that finished 3rd nationally in fewest sacks allowed. The next dog. Do you know this man? Tanner Koizwa, Houston. Across the 2024 and 2025 seasons, he had 168 receptions as a tight end. Let that number sit with you for a little bit. This is while having Connor Weigman as his quarterback, who turned into a threat with his legs so much in 2025 and 2024. Tanner Corzo, I'm looking forward to seeing him get active this year. Iowa has so many players at the Senior Bowl. It's ridiculous. Let's start with Ginnings Dunker. In 2025, he started all 13 games at right tackle, and Iowa rushed for 200 plus yards in 5 games. First team All Big Ten from the media, 3rd team All Big Ten from the coaches. Joe Moore Award offensive line for Iowa. He's a problem. Max Welling. In 2025, year of our Lord, he led Iowa in quarterback pressures with 8, led Iowa in pass breakups with 5. And the defense for Iowa ranked 1st in 4th down defense, 5th in 1st down defense, 8th in scoring defense, 9th in total, and 10th in passing defense. Drew Stevens, another dog, 352 career points, 76 of 95 on his field goals, 124 of 126 in his point after attempts. School records for field goals made at 76, 50 plus yard field goals at 12, longest field goal at 58. Plus, he had 76 field goals. That equals the 4th most in Big Ten history. Drew Stevens is a dog. TJ Hall. In 2025, TJ led the Big Ten with 10 pass breakups. He started 11 games, and Iowa's defense ranked top 10 nationally in so many categories that I just gave you. Bo Stevens is coming up next. He started all 13 games at left guard, AP, USA Today, PFF, First Team All-America, part of the Joe Moore Award offensive line. Iowa. Shout out to my dog D now. I was representing strong at the Panini Senior Bowl. Let's talk about a talent that you need to pay attention to who can make some money this week. Tyron Montgomery, he's an absolute mind bender for me. The reason why he is because he had 1,528 receiving yards. That was 2nd in NCAA D3. 119 catches. School season single record for 119 catches. 2,599 career yards. That's a school record. And he got a Senior Bowl invite. A dog from Division III. Sam Hecht. Sam's coming up next. I love Sam. He's part of Kansas State, who has 2 players here at the Senior Bowl. In 2025, he had 759 snaps, 0 accepted penalties. He anchored a line that rushed for 472 yards at Utah. Anchored a line that rushed for 472 yards at Utah. The next guy, that's a dog. VJ, 41 consecutive starts, 52 career games, longest active streak on Kansas State's roster. VJ Payne, can't wait to see you going crazy, my dog. When I look at all of these players on the national team, he's one that is going to be active on special teams in the DB room. They're probably going to move him and change his position. Just let him see how versatile that he can be as a player. And that's what I'm looking forward to VJ this week. Let's keep it going because we got so much more to cover. Seth McGowan, running back, Kentucky, is the first Kentucky player since 1984 with 75 plus rushing yards and a touchdown in 4 straight games to open the season for the Kentucky Wildcats. Man, I wish he was playing with Will Stein this year. Jalen Farmer, guard for Kentucky. He had 831 snaps as a right guard and only allowed 2 pressures all season long. That is 1 pressure every 415 snaps for Jalen Farmer. Coming up next, a Louisville kid, Colin Lacey. He scored touchdowns in 3 different ways in 2025. He had a receiving touchdowns. He had punt return touchdown. And he also sprinkled in some fanciness by adding a passing touchdown as well with Louisville in a trickery. Allen Herring, offensive tackle, started in all 12 games. Offensive lineman that only allowed, their offensive line for Maryland was great. Their offensive line as a whole allowed 9 sacks on the season. That was 5th fewest nationally. Allen Herring was a great part of that. Maryland got another one at the Senior Bowl. Ryan Eckley is a punter that had a 47.6 yard career punting average. That's the best in Michigan State history and the best in Big Ten history. The guy that KT talked about on his show earlier, I'm excited to see him just move around. Like he said, he's going to have to showcase how active he can be as a pass rusher in a defensive line. How much is his positional versatility going to be? You're going to have to watch the kid from Minnesota closely this week and see if he makes some money. Coming up next, Deshaun Singleton, safety. Their defense at Nebraska held 3 straight opponents under 100 passing yards to start the season off, and he was a great reason why. He had a 2 interception game versus Michigan State. I'm sorry, Sparty, but this kid gave you headaches all day, and he is a captain with the big C on his chest. He is a player that you have to watch. Thaddeus Dixon, DB. He has 16 pass breakups across 2 seasons. Only 12 starts, though, in 28 games. He was the Washington Defensive Skill Player of the Year on his time in the Huskies. And in UNC, could argue that they didn't really use him correctly. But the Senior Bowl is a perfect time for you to shine. Let's stay in the state of North Carolina and talk about NC State. Justin Jolly is a tight end that had 15.4 yards per catch. That was 4th most among FBS tight ends in 2024 and top 5 single season receptions and yards in NC State history. There's another NC State guy. His name is Sion Sloan. He had at least 3 tackles in 11 of 13 games that he played in 2025, year of our Lord. But he only had 1 double-digit tackle game, and that came against number 8 Georgia Tech, my squad, where he just lit us up. 10-plus tackles, amazing day. I think he had a half a sack, too. Cole Payton, quarterback. This kid is electric. I cannot wait to see him cash out in the Senior Bowl. But the reason why I say that, in his first season as a starter, he broke 3 of the top 6 single game offensive performances in North Dakota State Bison history. He broke 3 of the top 6 single game offensive performances in North Dakota State Bison history. And he did it all in the same season. And he did it all in his first season as a starter. Cold, cold, cold. It's a cold, cold world outside. Grayson Halton is not pictured on the screen from Oklahoma because I had to put in 68 plus players. So I kind of missed one. But Grayson Halton, his tackles for a loss increased in every season. He had 1, 3.5, 6, and then this past season he had 7. Consistency and just continue to get better. Harrison Wallace, pictured on your screen, wide receiver from Ole Miss, formerly at Penn State. He had 70 plus yards in 6 games this season, and 5 of 6 included a 40 plus yard catch. He is the ultimate deep threat. Better watch him on the outside this week at the Senior Bowl. Wyatt Williams, another linebacker from Ole Miss, getting a lot of love. Wyatt had 5 plus tackles in 8 games in 2025. And each one of those performances included a tackle for a loss, a PBU, or an interception combined with the 5 plus tackles. A dog. Bryce Betru, linebacker, Oregon. He had a defensive grade of 70 plus in 9 of 14 games this season. And in those 9 games, Oregon went 9-0. When he's playing at his best, Oregon seems to win. We have another Doug. Luke Basso, line sniper, snapped 123 times, had a 78.9 PFF special teams grade, and he's an all Big Ten selection for Luke. I'm covering them fast. You got to keep up. Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. I want to talk about Katron Allen. Katron Allen had, if I'm remembering correctly, 5 games this season where he had multiple touchdowns in those games. But I did the math and I saw that he had about 54 carries. 54 carries in those double-digit touchdown performances. He's still fresh because they didn't really use Katron or Nicholas Singleton to their full capacity at Penn State because they always had to share backfields. That's what happens when you're playing around the best every day. And then Katron Allen. He had 15 rushing touchdowns in 2025. That was more than his sophomore and his junior season combined, where he had 14. Penn State is loaded at the Senior Bowl. Zane Durant, a defensive tackle. He's the first Penn State defensive tackle since 2016 with 3 plus tackles for a loss versus a Big Ten opponent. A game record that knows how to get active with his speed. And I wouldn't be surprised if he runs 4.5. I'm just going to put it out there. Denny Dennis Sutton, edge from Penn State. Back-to-back seasons with 42 tackles and 9 sacks. Back-to-back. This man, you might look at it and be like, well, he didn't get better. He shows consistency in a premier conference in college football. And he did it twice. 9 sacks twice. You talk about an edge player with 40 plus tackles. He even expanded his productions into forced fumbles, interceptions, pass breakups, being even more violent with his hands. I'm excited to see Dennis Sutton in Mobile. Zakai Wheatley, defensive back, Penn State. Multiple solo tackle seasons where he had 50 plus solo tackles. He is multiple interception seasons as well under his belt. He is a person or player that can alternate between a tackler and a ball hawk. He gives you that versatility that you need. He's a thumper. He's going to come down with the hammer, but also he's solid in coverage. He has a large sample size because he's played quite a bit over his time at Penn State. But when you say a corner, a DB has multiple 50 tackle, solo tackle seasons, that is ridiculous in college football, bro. Kyle Lewis, linebacker, Pitt. He's the first Pitt sophomore All-American since Hugh Green in 1978. He had 100 plus tackles, 4 interceptions, 7 plus sacks in one season in 2024. That was the apex of it. He had to deal with some injuries in 2025. He's bouncing back. I've heard he's healthy. I'm excited for Kyle, but he is one of Pitt's all-time best players defensively. That is a fact. This kid, Chris Johnson, San Diego State's finest. He was PFF's number one graded cornerback nationally at a 92 grade. He had 0 touchdowns allowed in 2025, 4 interceptions, including two pick sixes as well on the 2025 season. Some people have him mocked as cornerback number 6, 7, 8. And you want to know what I'm going to tell you? You are smoking on the world's finest good I could ever. You were smoking on that, what D'Angelo was talking about, where he said brown sugar, because there's no way that this kid is in the 6, 7. He's going to push for that top 3, top 4 in that range this week in Mobile. Chris Johnson. Remember the name. I just came in. Are you doing a draft breakdown? I am doing a Senior Bowl national team breakdown where I'm giving you mind-bending stats that I researched for each player of the national team. Right now, we're about halfway through. They had a lot of players. It was like 60 plus players. Coming up next, Romello Brinson, wide receiver, SMU. He averaged 8.7 yards per target. 60+% of those yards were on 3 explosive plays in his first 5 games of the season. He went nuclear, somehow didn't get as much involved as I wanted him to towards the end of the season. And there's many reasons for that to be the case. But at the beginning of the year, this kid was unguardable, bro. And 60+% of your yards come on 3 explosive plays in those 5 games shows me that Kevin Jennings, Rhett Lashley, offensive coordinator, was saying, get the ball to Romello, whether it's over the top, in space, let him get active so we can see how crazy he can get. And SMU has a lot of players here at the Senior Bowl, including Jeffrey Mbach, defensive tackle, who had 7.5 tackles for a loss on his 42 tackles. That man is getting a tackle for a loss at a 17.8 tackle for a loss rate. That's crazy. All you need is more time on the field. All you need is more comfort. All you need is a chance to showcase what he can do in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Coming up next, Jordan Hudson. Do you know that Jordan Hudson had a touchdown every 10.1 receptions in 2025? That's an ultimate mind bender. Matthew Hibner, tight end. When you look at his time at Michigan, and you compare that to his short stint at SMU, it's like night and day. Matthew Hibner. In Michigan, he was barely utilized. In SMU, he tripled his Michigan career yardage in just one SMU game. He had an 80+ yard touchdown versus Pitt where he shut off the wheels. And I'm just keeping it honest. He's a sneaky, off the radar tight end that can make himself a lot of money this week. Let's talk about Stephen F. Austin's finest. A player that did not play high school football until his senior year of high school. Charles Demings, the cornerback, is the first program Senior Bowl invite for Stephen F. Austin. Clap it up to the Jacks. But I am most excited to see him play on the outside against these shifty wide receivers, these taller wide receivers, and see how he handles himself. It's a lot to have to adjust to the tempo, the speed, but these coaches should have a field day with his positional versatility. I say it again. We're going to see how much he can absorb this week. And Charles Demings, cornerback from Stephen F. Austin, should be on your radar because his production, while increasing over the course of his career, there is no better way to put your name on the map than being at the Senior Bowl. I will stand by that. For an FCS player, he could fly up radars and you'd be like, who is this kid? Moon told you. Moon tried to tell you, bro. Caleb Elarms Orr, TCU. He's the first TCU player in 30 years with back-to-back 15+ tackle games. 130 tackles in 2025 year of our Lord. Tackling machine. He looks mean too. Bud Clark, safety. Bud Clark is probably one of my favorite players at the Senior Bowl in 2025, 2026. And he has 15 career interceptions. He's a ball hawk, ball magnet, if I would say. He just has this knack and uncanny awareness to be exactly where the ball is going to be. He had a pick six in the college football playoff semifinal versus Michigan, where he put his name on the map. This year, he was the anchor for a TCU's defense that had a lot of playmakers on their team, including Caleb Elam's or who's on the Senior Bowl roster too. Bud Clark is coming in on the national team, ready to go stupid this week. They also have another TCU Horned Frog, Mr. DJ Rogers, who could give tight end, wide receiver kind of flexibility, but that's just me and my love for moving players around. I'm interested to see what they'll do for the coaching staff for the Senior Bowl. But DJ Rogers, TCU, he caught a catch in 12 of 13 games. Multiple catches in 10 plus games this season, and he only had 300 total yards, so he didn't even get utilized to his fullest capacity. That's with Josh Hoover as his quarterback. Their offense was just explosive. They had Eric McAllister, just to name one dog. I can go down the list, but TCU was explosive in 2025. So it's not his fault that he didn't have the most production, but to say that he had multiple catches in 10 plus games shows that Hoover went his way often. Bryson Easton, defensive tackle from Tennessee. He gained 65 pounds and came in originally as a linebacker and then moved to defensive tackle. 21 career tackles for a loss, a problem on the interior for Tennessee. And he's joined by Jalen McMurray, a DB, who had 2,000 plus snaps and 0 career pass interference penalties under his belt as a DB, which is insane. Colton Hood is also going to be joining us in the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, where he had a pick six plus a fumble six in the same season. The number 2 graded SEC coverage cornerback. He's a dog, an animal. Let's talk about A&M. Offensive lineman Trey Kuhn, the third, had a 96.9 PFF grade, 1 sack allowed on 382 pass pro snaps. The only P4 offensive lineman with the tackle plus center volume where he has the ability to move all down the line. Pay attention to Trey Zooms and this week in Mobile. Demetrius Crownover, offensive tackle. He gained 101 pounds, came in as a tight end, then turned into an offensive tackle. 0 sacks allowed in 2024, 2 sacks allowed on 427 snaps in 2025, year of our Lord. Scooby Williams, pictured on your screen. He had an interception for 2 different SEC programs. That was my nugget that made me say he can be in 2 different systems and still find a way to be around the ball. Oh, Scooby, how does he love his Scooby snacks? Nate Boerkircher. My nugget for him, my mind bender for Nate. Nate had a touchdown every 6.3 catches in 2025. He's a ball magnet. Somehow they utilized him in creative ways in Texas A&M. But pay attention to him on the Senior Bowl because that is just a crazy efficiency to have a touchdown every 6.3 catches that you have. Let's keep it going. We got to talk about some Texas Tech Red Raiders. Reggie Virgil, pictured on your screen, wide receiver, had 55 catches in 2025, and that was more than his previous 3 seasons combined. He really broke out, and he got a chance to put his name on the big stage. Got it utilized very effectively. And when I look at his running mate, who's also here at the Senior Bowl, Caleb Douglas, had multiple 100-yard games on fewer than 8 targets. He doesn't need a lot of volume in order to get busy, whether it's on the inside, outside. He had 5 catches, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns versus West Virginia. Ask them if they know the legend of Caleb Douglas, because I do. Lee Hunter, Texas Tech. He led the FBS in run defense stops on 2025, and he anchored the number 1 rushing defense in 2025 with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. He's joined on the defensive line by Romello Height, former Georgia Tech transfer that came in and really got active in this season. I love the fact that Romello bet on himself in 2025 and said, I'm going to take up my production as well. He had a 92.5 PFF grade. I think that was like fifth in the nation. 62 total pressures, sack in 8 games. His production went through the roof. Could that have to do with him having Lee Hunter and David Bailey? Yeah. Yeah, they were loaded on Texas Tech for sure. But he's not the last one. The last one from Texas Tech is Jacob Rodriguez. Jacob Rodriguez for 7 fumbles, 4 interceptions, and 11 total takeaways, 25. Defensive and offensive touchdowns because they used him as a wildcat quarterback to punch the ball in the end zone on offense. He can do it all. Swiss Army knife, ultimate glue guy, a thumper, a player that is smart and can read coverage. He knows how to read quarterbacks' eyes. Better watch your back if you're a quarterback in Mobile. Logan Fano, edge. He returned from 2 ACL tears and still said, I'm about to choose violence every day when I wake up because I really love this shit. I really do. 7.5 tackles for a loss and 4.5 sacks on the day. Got to look at him as a player that's going to increase his stock this week. Of course, everybody knows Diego Pavia. Who doesn't? Back-to-back 3,000-yard plus total offensive seasons for Vanderbilt. He is the ultimate program riser, program builder for Vandy. 484 passing yards versus Kentucky, one of his standout performances in 2025. Diego Pavia is a Vandy legend, and I think he's great for college football, honestly. Jamari Taylor, running back, Virginia, 7.57 yards per carry on third down conversions. That is crazy. 15 total touchdowns. Anywhere you wanted him to come in and make a play, he did. The game pictured on your screen was against Florida State, and Florida State wasn't prepared for how much of a dog Jamari Taylor was going to be in that game where he carried the workload to get the upset. Virginia was a damn good team in 2025. Chandler Morris and them boys got active, but the straw that often stirred the drink for Virginia and the Cavaliers was this guy. They had a song out there, Don't Look Any Further. That's the guy right there, Jamari Taylor. Carver Willis, offensive tackle. He's coming in from Washington, and he has 600 plus pass pro snaps, 0 sacks allowed. We're going to see how he deals with the edges and the talent on the defensive line this week in Mobile. I'm excited for him because he is just an alpha dog, a mauler. We got to see physicality, but we also want to see the finesse. Look for him to take an increase in his pass block reps in Mobile this week. Nadame Tucker, edge, 14.5 sacks, led the nation. Did not play organized football until his high school senior year. He's a late bloomer who popped up on the scene. Sometimes you just got to pop out and show people, and that's what Nadame Tucker did this season. He's got a well-deserved Senior Bowl invite, and we're going to see how he holds up against these huge offensive tackles and offensive linemen this week in the trenches. Vinny Anthony II. 85% of Vinny Anthony's catches resulted in a first down or a touchdown. When you needed somebody to put their money on the line, if I want to bet on one guy in Wisconsin, week after week, chances are very high that I could call on Vinny Anthony, a stabilizer for the Wisconsin Badgers program. I know they're going to miss him, his leadership, his uncanny ability to bring the team together, being a playmaker for sure, but also the straw that stirs Wisconsin drink on the outside. I had hoped that was going to be Trek Kekahuna. But, I mean, Vinny stepped up, and this is with dealing with poor quarterback play. Let's just be honest, bro. This is my Senior Bowl deep dive into the national team of players that you needed to know. This is the world of college football, my show, where I'm national and credentialed media breaking down the Senior Bowl in Mobile this week. That's the national team. Give me some time, maybe cook up some mind business stats on the American team. But hopefully throughout that exercise, you got a chance to learn something new that you might not have known for a player. Sometimes you don't have, everybody's going to tell you about the heights, the measurables, all the things like that. But sometimes you just need a nugget that's make you say, he did what? Yeah. For sure. You did. You mean to tell me the Diamond Tucker led the nation? Yup. In sacks? Yup. Caleb Douglas torch Westbrook? Yup. Pair that with what you see on tape, and then who knows? You'll be more secure heading into Senior Bowl week to know who you watching, this week. That is my Senior Bowl breakdown on the roster. This is the world of college football. My show, Mr. Gary.
I love you, and I do this for you.
Nah, not yet. Not yet.
Hey, but when that check hit, that NIL check hit, baby.
Oh my God.
We going to Applebee's and Shoes. Same night.
Crazy, dog. Arizona State. You find me on Instagram, Twitter, 100-yard landlord. 100-yard landlord.
Appreciate you talking to me, man. This is the world of college football. Come on, say what's up to the camera. Say what's up to the camera. Tell them that Sawyer Robinson should be Heisman 2025. Tell them we on the campaign. We walking in Waco, right? It's the world of college football. I see you rocking the stash, man. Looking good, Chad. We're here with Travers Family Football head coach Justin Wilcox. I'm trying to get swole like this dude. What's good? Welcome to the world of college football. I'm your host, Moon, nationally credentialed media member of DCFB Nation. Make sure you subscribe and follow in the gang at DCFB Nation on X, Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I don't know if you do, but I'm never going to switch up. I probably call it Twitter till the day I'm out of here. X. You can follow us there. Follow us on DCFBNation.com for all your latest around the college football world. Cover everybody. Try to make sure we do a good job doing it. This is the show. It's been jam-packed. I've been going for an hour straight so far, and I feel good. I feel really good. We still got to talk about some more, but the show is brought to you by DCFB Nation. This is the world of college football. Let's get to it. I am conflicted. And the reason why I say I'm conflicted is because I got a chance to be, in the shadows, just lurking, watching the game that I love, but not in the spotlight, not in front of the camera, not in front of you guys. And one thing that I saw this offseason that really troubled me and really bothered me was something that happens every single year, and teams have to pay the success tax. Today, we're going to talk about the success tax in college football and why Georgia Tech ultimately ended up having to pay that. One second. My friend, Brent Key, pictured on your screen, is Georgia Tech football's head coach, who has done a great job of rebuilding a program that spent years searching for relevance. And when it finally arrived, success ended up bringing a bill, a tax. You ever been out to eat and you'd be like, dang, bro, we just had a great time. You took the whole family out to eat and everything. And then they bring you that slip for the receipt on how much it's going to cost. And you look at it, you'd be like, whoa, I got to pull out the MasterCard. I got to pull out. That's kind of what Brent Key had to deal with, because you had the most success in the program, really history, in my opinion, other than the Natty. We get it. But recent success. And Florida ended up coming in and saying, hey, we're determined to rebuild pretty fast, my friend. And we're going to do it without sentiment. And this means that we're going to take your players and your coach and your quarterback. This is my deep dive into the success tax in Georgia Tech football for 2026 offseason. For decades, and I do mean decades, boys, for decades, when I mentioned the flats, there wasn't really too much to get excited about it besides option football, Paul Johnson, historic Grant Field, the drips that is probably unique and one of the most unique combinations because we got gold. The team, rocking gold and making it look good. But we said, hey, that's the most that we can give you for Georgia Tech and the benefit of what it's like being here. But then some things started to change. And then 2025, we got a chance to see Georgia Tech really shift their identity in 2025 season. It started with in 2024, 2023. You start seeing the pieces being added and stacked together. But Georgia Tech won 9 games, people. The offense finished among the top 15 nationally. The program stopped selling hope and they started recruiting prospects like Tay Harris. They started presenting receipts and facts and proof and saying, we could come in and go 8 overtimes with Georgia. You can't. You got blown out by the Mississippi State. We can hang with the world of college football, and our blue blood identity is going to show up and showcase every time we step out on the field for the most part. By the time that the winter settled in 2026, 2025 ending, Brent Key found his program standing in the crosshairs of a newly energized Florida rebuild in a season where they had so many highs and lows. Think about the Syracuse game where Eric Rivers decided to show up and go crazy. There's so many times over the course of the season where we upset Clemson at Bobby Dodd. Wasn't expecting that. Now down falls Clemson. It started with the loss to Georgia Tech. Colorado, beginning of the year. Everybody has a lot of question marks. But we came in and handled the Buffaloes and got Coach Prime's new season started off on a sour note. I can go down the list as a Georgia Tech, you can say, newly appointed fan by the people. But it was a lot to love in 2025, including 8-0 for the first time in a while since the 60s. And it culminated in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And when we got a chance to see this game, there were already rumblings of things that was going on in the transfer portal, but like we already started seeing like the fractures of what was going on behind the scenes. They started to just spill out through the cracks. And I'm looking back and I'm saying, what is going on? And then it hit me. This became locally in my household as the Florida Exodus. Because after the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the reality started to really set in and sink in that Georgia Tech has now entered into a time where they have to pay the success tax. This is the price what happens when you are good in college football. The shark starts circling. In this NIL and transfer portal ecosystem that we live in, success now operates as a tax in this NIL era. You win and you do it big enough, you do it pretty enough, you do it often enough, them sharks are going to start circling. The story of how all of this goes down is with one guy and one guy as the feature. Buster Faulkner. Every version of this story starts with him. Buster Faulkner did more than coordinate an offense. He rewired Georgia Tech's identity on that side of the ball because before his arrival, the Yellow Jackets ranked near the bottom of national charts in offensive categories. Under his direction, the unit exploded into one of the most efficient groups in the country, in the ACC for sure, and averaging more than 466 yards and 33 points plus per game in the 2025 season. But guess what? When you're that good, recognition followed. And Buster Faulkner earned national coordinator honors and his phone stopped resting on the table. Never stopped checking it. And then that's when he got a call. Beep, 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 beep. Ring. That's when John Summerall ended up just taking over in Gainesville with the urgency defined by his urgency to sign a contract and still be the head coach at Tulane University to take them to the American Conference Championship. Yes, he went on a championship run while finalizing a long-term deal at Florida. Then it started to really hit me. This offensive architect named Buster Faulkner, I mean, he had the phone ringing. And he got pulled by the prestige, the SEC label. He got the SEC gravity, you should say, the expanded salary pools. But Georgia Tech had money too. Brent Key just signed a contract. We'll talk about more on that later. But Georgia Tech, while they offered him continuity, they offered him growth, they offered him, an upgraded commitment to staff pay because Brent Key just got the bag. You got the extension. While both of those offers in just being real, those make sense. Taking a job at Florida, I'm not going to be mad at you for taking a job at Florida, but he had a scorched earth mandate. Why am I surprised from a guy that came from UGA? that he wouldn't leave the house burning down when he left. When Buster Faulkner left, his departure cut deeper than a single hire ever could, because it put me in a position where he's taking multiple staffers with him to Florida, and they followed him south. What walked out of the door felt less like staff turnover and more like intellectual property changing zip codes. And that is why the fans are mad. For a head coach who sold the Flats as a destination, the optics stung. No pun intended, being a Yellow Jackets fan. So now the succession plan gets interrupted. Why is that the case, Moon? Because you had a team that hired and all they want to do is win. If Buster Faulkner represented the mind of the Exodus, quarterback Aaron Philo embodied its emotional core. Aaron Philo is a quarterback that was our crown jewel in the 2026 season. We were coming in thinking that he was going to be the next guy after Haynes King, and we were going to have stability. He was the emotional core. So you mean to tell me we losing coordinators? Yeah, that's just is what happens when you're in this sport and you're in this profession. But I lost my quarterback who was viewed as the future to that same coordinator. That just lands differently, bro. Aaron Philo arrived in Atlanta as a developmental cornerstone, a player groomed patiently behind Haynes King with the expectation of ownership down the line, and his decision to follow Buster Faulkner to Gainesville in early January felt personal to this fan base. And the move reinforced a difficult truth in the modern era of college football, my friend, and that is that systems often carry more gravitational pull than campuses. Even campuses with academic prestige, a backdrop of the entire city from your stadium, and rising on-field credibility, playing in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Developmental culture met market reality, and the market reality won in this situation. Now, what is Brent Keyes supposed to do? Well, Brent Keyes said, we're going to wait and we're going to land a financial counterpunch. They didn't respond passively, Georgia Tech. In early December, the Institute approved a 5-year extension for Brent Key that pushed his deal through the end of the decade. The structure, it absolutely mattered. Having him as our head coach absolutely mattered. The base compensation rose significantly. The administration, they earmarked additional resources for his assistants, for his support staff, for every part. Like, you name it, Brent Key can get it, you know? And that message, that traveled abroad, and it traveled clearly that Georgia Tech intended to compete in the same economic lanes that previously defined the separation that we feel. Even with the resources, Florida offered something that was different for sure. The Gators, they didn't want to supplement stability. They aimed to burn down the old structure in that Billy Napier era and just said, burn it down to the ground and just do whatever we got to do to win. And that kind of reset has and carries a price, a success tax that very few programs outside of the SEC choose to match. That's what Brent Key was faced in this year. So now, from the outside, Georgia Tech's record under Brent Key painted a clear picture. The program climbed steadily, culminating in a 9-win regular season that restored national relevance. And for years, Tech operated outside of the spotlight. We can grow talent here, and we don't have to worry about it getting poached for real. Think about it. Eric Singleton Jr. could have left in the transfer portal the year before he actually did, but he chose to stay on the Flats. Why? For many reasons, but that showcases to you that the spotlight wasn't that massive yet. He ended up leaving the next year, but that's my point. It's proof of concept. From the outside, the logic, it looks simple. If this staff produced a level of performance under Georgia Tech's rigorous academic constraints and recruiting challenges, imagine the results that Buster Faulkner can do with Florida scale and their access and their resources. Every explosive run, every composed quarterback rep, every offensive rhythm sequence that we have is doubled as both celebration and advertisement to the rest of the college football nation, the college football world, because success cannot hide in this sport. Success published the blueprint. That is why Jason Eck got signed a contract extension immediately when the coaching carousel opened for New Mexico, because they said there is no way that we had the best season, the best fan turnout, the best engagement, the best marketing, the best just success on the football field that we ever had. And we're going to let this guy walk out of the door. They locked him up, clink, clink, and said, you're not going nowhere. You're locked up, won't let me out. Jason Eck the same way. But success, you better believe people around the nation saw that and said, dang, they cooking out there in New Mexico like that? The Lobos? What? We paying attention. The same success tax has a blueprint. And this is where we enter into the adaptation phase. This is where we entered into the next stage of it. This is really a think piece that I'm giving you, but this is where the story ends up shifting. Rather than go and crawl under a table and say, we're not built like that, Brent K recalibrated. Other programs would unravel under portal pressure, and Georgia Tech moved deliberately. I hear so many people talking to me about Georgia Tech is losing so much talent to the portal. From where? We got 15 plus players leaving in the portal. Have you seen Florida State's roster? Florida State got 40 plus people in the portal, and they only bring in 20 something. Like, there are teams that are in far worse shape than Georgia Tech is. Wake Forest, look at them. I'll talk about them on another episode of World of College Football. But bro, they got Chris Barnes leaving. I can go down the list. They best defensive tackle is leaving, and they said, "Oh, we got to plug and play from everywhere." Georgia Tech wasn't panicking like a Wake Forest, like a Duke, like a Clemson, or Georgia Tech had some losses for sure, and the Aaron Follow one did numbers on us, on our heartstrings. We still mad because of that. You feel the passion coming out? I'm still mad. I watched Aaron Philo cook in the spring game for back-to-back years. You mean to tell me he's not a jacket? He's not wearing gold forever? But when I separate that and I look at the success tax in college football, Brent Key said, all right, fine, I'll pay the tax. And guess what? I'm about to go get Alberto Mendoza. I'm about to go get Justice Haynes. I'm about to go get Jalen Mbakwe. This is why college football is the best sport on the face of the earth. The reason why is because Georgia Tech showcased that we can retain key critical units on our team. We can target plug and play talent, and we can protect the institutional standards that separate Georgia Tech from the rest of the nation. And we can do it smartly. We can wait a little time and see everybody else panic. Season ticket holders give up their season tickets and say, oh, I don't want to be a Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets fan no more and see it because we just lost Aaron Philo in the portal. And oh my gosh, Keelan Rutledge is going to the league. And Eric Rivers can't save us no more. Haynes King is not here. For the glory of God, save me. I get it, bro. I really do. But you moved and got knocked off your position. Because guess what Georgia Tech did? Just kept signing talent, can't work. Signing talent, can't work. Alberto Mendoza coming in with a 14-yard average per carry in one season is ridiculous. Justin Haynes being our new feature running back. Georgia Tech said, we're going to plug the plays that we need. Clearly, we're going to hire a new offensive coordinator. I'm gonna talk about that in another deep dive on another World of College Football episode. But we're gonna sign the pieces and we're gonna give clear identity after post Haynes King. They did that. Godsey coming in, they said, but we about to run the football. You think we not? Okay. Justice Haynes gonna have 250 carries plus. A bet on it. Fernando Mendoza's little brother. Oh yeah, we watched him in the portal too. We was just watching him complete the national championship. You mean to tell me that this quarterback that just got a national championship winning quarterback, regardless if that was his little brother or not, he still got a ring. That kid said on the day after the Natty, where do I want to go in the world of college football? Where would be the best place for my talents? Let's go to Georgia Tech. What? We are in a different place of this college football world. And Georgia Tech said, we'll pay that success tax. We got money now. We got money. We got money. We don't know where it's coming from, but we got money. So let's be real. Let's bring it back down. The departures that left, they definitely cut. Losing Isaiah Canyon to Georgia cuts and infuriates me in my soul, because why, out of all the places, out of all the 136 universities in the FBS, would you choose to go to Athens out of all schools? You did that personally, bro. You did that intentionally. You tried to hurt us. I get it. That's why Tay Harris got you on a hit list right now. I'm joking around, but the fans, they felt these losses for sure. As a honorary fan of the Yellow Jackets, I felt it. It's been a challenge, but anybody that moved too soon and didn't just see all the pieces on the chessboard, and you didn't renew your season tickets, you kind of put yourself out of position, because the numbers tell a steady story. The program at Georgia Tech continues to win. Any program that continues to win, that has a high academic profile, that remains intact. The roster reload, it obviously reflected strategy and not just, oh, let's sign this player, sign him, like other schools are doing. Let's just look at the ACC. Georgia Tech absorbed this lesson of what is like being successful in the college football world and having to pay that success tax. But the next phase of what happens on the flats of Bobby Dodd Stadium in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, will be 100% how they adjust to this new era of college football, and how the flat must remain a place where others, they don't want to just come here for a visit. They look at this as a place capable of paying the tax and still continuing to move forward anyway. Because we got money now. We got assets now. We got resources now. Success will never hide. And the success tax is real. But if you're a program watching out here, nothing that I said is new under the sun. Program's been paying the success tax for a long time now. It's just new for Georgia Tech fans because we ain't been this good in the modern era for real. This is all new. This is my deep dive into what it means to be a Yellow Jackets fan and get your talent purged from Florida, and how do we bounce back moving forward from here. I think the future is bright. Alberto Mendoza, I've heard competition from Graham Knowles, and my numbers will say this. Alberto Mendoza has more production in one season than Graham Knowles has in his entire college career. And he backed up Heisman quarterback Fernando Mendoza, his brother. Yeah, there'll be a quarterback competition in the spring, but I said it on Twitter. If it walked like a duck, quacked like a duck, signed after the college football playoff national championship, that kid is a starting quarterback. You think he's scared of Graham Knowles? I love you, Graham, but Alberto is not scared of you. He had to go up against his brother and Kirk Signetti and all his crazy looks every day at practice. He'll be fine. Georgia Tech will be fine, and they'll be able to pay the success tax. This is the world of CFB.
Welcome to Bull Rush, the ultimate arena where trading becomes an exhilarating competition. Whether you're a seasoned trader or just starting your journey, Bull Rush is your gateway to a high-energy world where skills are tested and winners are crowned. Awaken your inner competitor as you dive into the pulse-pounding action of Bull Rush. Imagine yourself in the heart of the financial market, where every trade is a thrilling opportunity to outsmart your rivals and climb the leaderboard. This isn't just trading. It's an electrifying game where strategy, knowledge, and precision are your weapons. Join the competition, ignite your trading skills, and claim your victory. Bull Rush is more than a platform. It's your stage to trade, compete, and win like never before. Get ready to unleash your potential. Get ready for Bull Rush. Visit bullrush.com today. Are you in?
What's good? Welcome to the World of College Football, hosted by Moon, nationally credentialed media of CFB Nation. It's been a jam-packed show. We've been going strong. Now we're about to come down to our last segment of the show, but we're going to end with the bang, just like we started with the bang. And we're going to talk about FCS to FBS pipeline because it is going to be massive in 2026. This will be part one of the series because there's so many different transactions that took place in the transfer portal from kids making that jump up. So I want to make sure I cover as many as I can because these FCS programs deserve to get some love too. And they produce talent just like the FBS. Maybe not to the same potency, but there are some gems out there for sure. And I'm going to talk about some of them on the show. Before we do, we are looking for sponsors for World of College Football. Put it out there. See that little ad slot for a minute, 45, 30? Hey, your boy Moan. I don't care who it is. You trying to sponsor us? Let us know. That's my goal for 2026. We will get a sponsor for this show in 2026 for World of College Football. Let's get to it because I ain't going to waste up more of your time. This one's going down in the history books for a great show. But if I fumble the bag, it's not going to matter. FCS FBS pipeline. The modern transfer portal has changed the geography of college football, but it's also clarified something essential that performance travels, not reputation, not stars, not hype, but performance, production. The FCS to FBS pipeline in 2026 operates less like a gamble and more like a market correction because you got programs that are no longer asking whether lower division stars can scale at their program. They ask how quickly can the transition of this player be accelerated. What follows, and what I'm about to give you, is a study of upward mobility. It showcases to you how the next era of roster construction in college football, sometimes these bigger schools are saying, hey, we want to go to the FCS level to get a key player on our roster. Let's deep dive into some of these guys. Tyquez Richardson, Alabama A&M, transferred to the University of Georgia, a Bulldog transferring to be a Bulldog. Richardson, he didn't arrive in this situation at Alabama A&M with, hey, we're just about to take it lightly, coast, and just make the most of our scholarship. Nah, Buddy said, look, I don't plan on being here for long. I'm not looking for comfort. I want snaps. And by the time he got to the end of the 2025 season, he had taken every one of them that mattered for Alabama A&M, standing at 6'5", 330 pounds. Tyquez Richardson became the stabilizing force on Alabama A&M's offensive line, starting all 12 games at left tackle and absorbing the kind of weekly punishment that exposes flaws quickly and vigorously. None surface. His balance held and his footwork stayed intact. His availability never wavered. When you have 100% of the starts, 0 missed games, 0 late season drop off, Georgia started to notice that movement before they noticed his size, standing at 6'5", 330. At that weight, Richardson, he can still change direction with intent. He can still have raw mass that he converts from speed to power. He knows how to deal with edge speed. Georgia signed him knowing that he can be a developmental piece that we can accelerate fast. His commitment came on January the 15th, but the path ahead remains competitive. Georgia, the most competitive program. Georgia's room is stocked with blue chip bodies, and you talk about him, he's going to come in and add some insurance, development, durability, traits that separate championship depth from emergency depth. And Georgia does not want to be in a situation where we get to the end of the season, we don't have enough depth. He can help get that for sure. Coming up next, Jalen Jones. This kid is absolute lightning in a bottle, and that bottle exploded. And it said, hey, we about to name ourselves Jalen Jones. Wide receiver, Alabama State, took his talents to Texas Tech. He never needed volume and to announce himself. He just needed space. At Alabama State in the Hornets, he turned separation into a calling card. His 2025 stat line told a clean story. 51 receptions, 1.1 K yards, 9 touchdowns, and a deeper truth lived and his efficiency. Efficient. Kid can scoot. Look at his UAB film. If you want a game against FBS comp, look at his UAB film. He lit them boys up. 22.9 yards per reception, leader of the FCS. He accelerates without warning, decelerates without losing leverage. Corners chase angles that disappear, and then they disappear because he's so shifty. His background, his academic focus, obsessive film habits, under recruited beginnings. You start looking at the makings of who he is as a player. He's perfect for the way that Texas Tech attacks leverage and space. You saw them do it with Caleb. You saw them do it with, they have 2 players on the Senior Bowl roster. They said, hey, he fits that same mold. He fits the Caleb Dullig's mold for us. Texas Tech, the rich just get richer. And Texas Tech's offense, when defense stretch vertically and fracture underneath, this kid could come in and say, hey, we could do it vertically. We could do it horizontally, because he fits as a slot accelerator, a gadget piece. He helps in the immediate return game if you want to put him there. And his physicality, that only lingers, and those questions linger until you see him make that first guy miss. And then you have no questions about how active that he can get for you. That's Jalen Jones. Coming up next, Von Highland. Von is an interesting prospect. He's the interior anchor that Akron needed. He's coming from Arkansas Pine Bluff, and his journey reads like a case study and earned credibility. Division III, Division II, FCS. Now he's in the FBS. Each level, he answered a new question. Highland answered all of them with the same response. I'm going to be consistent. At Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions, he rotated early and impacted late. His wrestling background reveals itself instantly when you watch his film. He got leverage control, hand usage, pad discipline, and my favorite part, the run fit integrity. He can absorb double teams and still maintain his position. Akron's defense, if they needed anything, they needed mass that could actually think on the field. And Von Highland supplies both of them. His role centers on disruption through occupation. He's going to free up some linebackers on Akron's defense, and he's going to help when it comes to the compression of rushing lanes. I'm looking forward to this kid coming in and really making that next jump, that next stride, into that next, where we want him to take. He can only go up from here, really and truthfully. We talk about Vaughn. Arkansas Pine Bluff is a fun school. I'm looking forward to seeing him this year. I want to talk about another dog. This kid right here. Where he at? Montrez Smith Jr. I get excited when I watch him. Austin Peay's finest. Montrez Smith Jr. arrived at Austin Peay and the Governors with something to prove, and he left with every single thing validated. 74 tackles, 8.5 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions, 1 pick six, all as a freshman. He has the right to choose to go to the FBS. He can. He did it on all 3 levels. Impact, production across run defense, production across pressure rate, and production in coverage. That's what you need. He has recognition speed that collapses quarterback windows early. His blitz timing just screams patience. His coverage instincts scream patience too, and preciseness more than anything. And at Iowa State, even though they have so many changes coming on with new coaching staff and a lot of new everything, they can find their defensive identity rooted in a linebacker that has intelligence, that has adaptability, and more than anything, he has time, because 3 years of eligibility remain and immediate competition is following for that kid. He is lights out. Malik Huggins next on the list. You want to talk about speed that changes coverage rules? Malik Huggins is a wide receiver returner from Bethune-Cookman, and he brings fear to geometry within the 53 yards of blade of grass, sideline to sideline. At Bethune-Cookman in the Wildcats, defenses adjusted alignments before the snap even happened because they were so scared that this guy was going to blow the top off of the defense. 20-25, 64 receptions, 864 yards, 8 touchdowns, field flipping returns. He can get active. Almost 1,000 all-purpose yards. Miami of Ohio just got a kid that can come in and give immediate vertical tension. Safeties, they're going to have to retreat earlier. Play action, it now has some grit and some bite to it. It got some teeth to it. Special teams, it's going to start leaning towards field position even more. And he's going to arrive polished, fast, and ready. And that's not even the only Bethune-Cookman guy that we have on the board. Mr. Schultz. Tico Schultz joined what Coach Shepard's doing out there in Oregon State with 2 seasons of starting experience and footwork refined through necessity. He is a kid that could come in and get some answers now. I love how he gets active in his pass sets. He can neutralize edge speed. He can use his leverage. That's what we need to see that wins. And then also Javon Ross from Bethune-Cookman, he headed to Tulsa in the Golden Hurricane. So that's 3 separate Wildcats that ended up taking their talents to the FBS stage. Like it only gets crazier from here, I promise you. Coming up next, Liam Lindo took his talents to the new Mountain West with NIU, cornerback from Bryant. When we talk about FCS playmakers, Liam Lindo's path, it didn't flatten. It only got crispier, more sharp around the edges. He had multiple stops that hardened his approach to the game. At Bryant, he really tapped into his durability. His ball production finally aligned to what our expectations of him could be. When you talk about ball disruption rate, interceptions, and pass breakups per target, Northern Illinois, they just gained size on the outside, maturity, and immediate competitiveness at a spot where you need as much as possible, especially in this conference transition that we're going through right now, adjusting to the Mountain West. Liam Lindo arrives ready to play right now. When you start to look at these players and these prospects, it really starts to get crazy when you see the amount of FCS to FBS transfers that we have. I didn't even name all of them. This is only part 1. I could talk to you about Nathan Natoli from Bucknell or his teammate Dariah Adeyemi from Bucknell. Both of them chose Buffalo and Stanford, respectfully. That's 2 Bucknell Bison that chose to move to the FBS. The FCS is proving that it is going to continue to operate as college football's most honest proving ground where kids can go sharpen their skills, no shortcuts, no protection, just exposure. And the right people are going to find you. These teams, they are looking and they're trying to solve the issues that they have. Texas Tech said, hey, we about to be losing some wide receiver talent. Why not get a kid named Jalen Jones from Alabama State who averaged 22.9 yards per reception? That's perfect for what we just lost with Caleb Douglas. This is what college football is right now. The players featured in this FBS to FCS pipeline that I mentioned tonight, they all earned through repetition, durability, clarity, and the programs that identified them, they acted with intent to make sure they bring them in, don't play around, and secure this connection as fast as possible. This is the FCS to FBS pipeline, and this is the world of CFB. I'm proud of myself, dog. How long we go? An hour. I didn't even try to go this long. We're going to give you heat, though. Heat on top of heat. For another jam-packed episode in the book, season 2 of World of College Football kicks off. We're going to stay tuned. Keep your notifications on. Special shout out to anybody that comes across this content. To God be the glory. We really appreciate you consuming it. Share it with somebody to make them a college football fan. We greatly appreciate you. Special shout out to the College Football Nation and the whole team, all behind the scenes that do a great job covering this sport, just like I do. This is where I shine. The off season, there is no off season for us. We only have more stories to choose from. So if you're looking for your latest plug and everything you needed to know in the college football world, you don't gotta look any further, my dog. Shake my hand. Great episode. Welcome back, dog. I'll see you on the next one. And until then, in this wonderful and wacky world of college football, where we have the haves and the have-nots. Some of these FCS transfers became a have. Some of these teams that's out here, they are trying to retool and redefine what it looks like for 2026. The Pac-12 is having meetings that are coming up right now this week. Then the future of the conference is up for vote, essentially. These are all the storylines that we talked about today. A lot of them. Make sure you share the episode, and until next time, be safe. This is the world of college football. Mr. Gary.
I love you, and I do this for you.
Nah, not yet. Not yet.
Hey, but when that check hit, that NIL check hit, baby.
Oh my God.
We going to Applebee's and Chili's. Same night.
Crazy, dog. You know, Arizona State. You find me on Instagram, Twitter, 100-yard landlord. 100-yard landlord.
Appreciate you talking to me, man. This is the world of college football. Come on, say what's up to the camera. Say what's up to the camera. Tell them that Sawyer Robinson should be Heisman 2025. Tell them we on the campaign. We walking in Waco, right? The world of college football. I see you rocking the stash, man. Looking good, Chad. We're here with Travers Family Football head coach Justin Wilcox. I'm trying to get swole like this dude.